Honey, it's the 90s, remember?
Quick, we're the Schwarzenegger film.
Usually when people think of the greatest decade for action movies, the 80s come to mind, as that was the era that gave us Lethal Weapon, Die Hard, the Rambo movies, and so many more. But the 90s was just as important a decade, with it giving birth to just as many legends of the genre, and truly, it was the last great era for R-rated action flicks. So, what are the best action movies of the decade? It's tough to say for sure, but here are 10 plus an honorable mention that we think deserve a place in the pantheon. First up with our honorable mention, Demolition Man. When this came out in the fall of 1993, it wasn't considered all that special. In fact, it apparently lost money at the box office, but within a few years, the Sylvester Stallone-Wesley Snipes mashup became a major cult classic, and now it's regarded as one of the most beloved films of the era. Stallone stars as a cryogenically frozen cop who wakes up in an insanely PC utopia that seems more relevant every year. The script, which was overhauled by Heather's scribe Daniel Waters, has teeth that it also gave Sandra Bullock her first major role in a Hollywood film, paving the way for her to become one of the biggest stars of her era. I feel like we're not far away from the movie's verbal morality statute, but let's skip 3 seashells, okay?
Oh, he doesn't know how to use the 3 seashells.
Number 10 is True Lies, and this was Arnold Schwarzenegger's last big mega hit, and his last teaming to date with James Cameron. This domestic comedy mashup with tentpole action is a little un-PC these days, but the action sequences are masterful, and Schwarzenegger has never been so loose or comfortable playing a part. Jamie Lee Curtis is excellent as his wife, and the two should have been able to parlay this into a franchise, but alas, Cameron was just too busy to take the notion of a True Lies Part 2 seriously. Number 9 is The Matrix. While this may seem a little low on the list, the reason I maybe don't consider it up there with a lot of the big 90s action movies is because it really feels more like a product of the 2000s, because it was so influential in the movies of that era. In fact, its legacy dominated the genre for years. This was a huge comeback for Keanu Reeves, who had a lot of flops after Speed, and it made the Wachowskis iconic and had some of the greatest VFX and action ever put to screen in an American film, effortlessly mashing Hong Kong action with American tentpole movie making. Number 8 is Total Recall. Do yourself a favor, skip the 4K release of this movie, as the old school special effects don't really hold up all that well at ultra high def. Yet, this Paul Verhoeven directed epic is a masterpiece of action movie making, and it's so layered that you can really watch it over and over. It has it all: pulse-pounding action, gore, Schwarzenegger at his best, a kick-ass heroine, Michael Ironside getting his arms ripped off, a Jerry Goldsmith score, and an impossibly sexy Sharon Stone in bad girl mode. Number 7 is The Rock. For us James Bond fans, this movie is extra special as it's a Sean Connery swan song to the spy genre, with him playing a very 007-like hero. It's really cool to see the 60s legend get plopped down into a very modern techno thriller, and Connery really rises to the occasion. It's Michael Bay's best film with a strong musical score, Ed Harris as a sympathetic bad guy, and the birth of another action icon, Nicolas Cage, who Connery symbolically passes the torch to as the movie goes on.
Losers always whine about their best. Winners go home and fuck the prom queen.
Carla was the prom queen.
Really?
Number 6, Fist of Legend. Lest you think this list will be all American movies, one must acknowledge that in Hong Kong, there were some incredible action flicks being made. Jet Li teamed with Yuen Wu-ping for this remake of Bruce Lee's Fist of Fury, aka The Chinese Connection. The fights in this movie were a massive influence on The Matrix. Number 5 is Drunken Master 2. Jackie Chan always said that he never understood why fans loved his sequel to the original Drunken Master so much, with his perception of the film probably marred by his rumored creative conflicts with director Lar Kar Lung. Artistically and physically, this is Chan at his prime, although it's maybe the one movie of his where I'd say the North American re-edit The Legend of the Drunken Master is a bit better, with it changing the schlocky score and eliminating the dumb tag-on ending. Number 4 is Speed. No one thought this movie would amount to much in 1994. People laughed at Keanu Reeves starring in a Die Hard knockoff, with many saying it seemed like he was taking on a role meant for a guy like Steven Seagal. And in fact, the movie was actually written for The Perfect Weapon star Jeff Speakman. Opening weekend changed everybody's minds, and I remember convincing my dad to take me to see this instead of Beverly Hills Cop 3. We were both on the edge of our seats throughout the film, and Reeves, along with his co-star Sandra Bullock, emerged from this as a major star. Number 3 is Hardboiled. John Woo left Hong Kong following the release of this action masterpiece, which teamed two of his favorite leading men, Chow Yun-fat and Tony Leung. This has some of the greatest shootouts ever committed to film, and sadly, it would mark the end of Woo's collaborations with Chow Yun-fat, although never say never. Number 2 is Point Break. Catherine Bigelow brought a female perspective to this ultra-male bromance, which starred Keanu Reeves as an FBI agent.
I am an FBI agent!
And trying to nail a team of surfing bank robbers, who turn out to be led by Patrick Swayze's Bodhi, the Zen surfer guru he's become tight friends with. The film is a legit masterpiece that holds up brilliantly years later. Just ignore the remake that should have been called Point Fake. And number 1 is Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Is this the greatest sequel ever made? It must be. It's no coincidence that Schwarzenegger and James Cameron collaborations bookend this list. This movie elevated the genre within an emotional roller coaster that made a lot of us cry in the 90s. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger at his very best, with Linda Hamilton also emerging as one of the coolest action movie heroines of all time. Hasta la vista, baby. So, hopefully you dig all of our top 10s. If you disagree with us, make sure to let us know in the comments. We'd be very curious to hear your perspective on what the greatest action movies of the 1990s are.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.